Hey, True Believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with X-Force number 2. And this is an excellent comic book. There's action, but in a different sense. I like the way that the team worked this plot because there's different things happening, but it flows instead of just feeling like it's all over the place. And one thing that I miss, so the print date on this was September 1991. I miss when you get excellent artwork and a great story for $1. This is back in the 90s. Now you go further back toward like the Claremont era, you get that great stuff like 67 cents, 75 cents, stuff like that. And it just drives me nuts now that we get a lot of really, there's good comics out there, but not as many. And I hate that they charge $4.99, $5.99. It's ridiculous. But anyway, that aside, let's jump into this. This is the second appearance of Deadpool and the first appearance of this Weapon X character named Kane. And I love the way that this character is introduced. The pacing of it, you start to feel the grittiness because he's a soldier. And he says here, I love it, he goes, they find the target, they point the gun, they pull the trigger. I'm the bullet. So that's awesome writing right there. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about who made the Blood Hunters. As my comic decides to go flapping in the wind, this is Rob Liefeld, Ideas and Pictures, Fabian Nicchizio, Words and Insomnia, Chris Ialopoulos doing lettering and tequila, Brad Venkata doing color art and goatee, Bob Harris edits and exhaustion, Tom DeValco, sausage and peppers. I miss that. I miss back when the creative team would kind of get joking with the audience. It really made it feel personable. So anyway, we find here that Kane is part of Weapon X, and this is the first time I believe where it's mentioned that Deadpool was also part of Weapon X and Department H as well. And just that Dutch angle of him coming down like that, that is some dynamic paneling. And this was back before Deadpool nowadays, where he's like, oh, LOL, chimichangas and rainbows and unicorns. Oh my God, so random. That is not Deadpool. This is Deadpool. And he's just like, oh, kid, come on. You got to be kidding me. I ain't that gig trademarked or something, because Kane's calling himself Weapon X. And, Kane's talking about how Deadpool runs his mouth a mile a minute, which is why he's always been called the Merc with the mouth. But look at how his dialogue is. He goes, not bad, kiddo, but I've had my head busted up by experts, and you just don't cut it. Get it? Cut it? I kill me. But first, I kill you. And look at how these panels are not flat or boring. It doesn't look like Tumblr art. There's the action lines, great shading, great coloring. The art team really did a great job to push this narrative forward. And so this book, as I said, opens up with this explosive action of Kane and Deadpool just going at it. And through the dialogue, you find out that they used to be teammates and that they can't really stand one another back then. And now so much the same here. And Kane even says here, he goes, it ends where it begins, Deadpool. Want to sing a chorus of Oh Canada? And he's just like, I hate this country. I've always hated this country. I hated Department H. I hated the Weapon X program. And I hated you, you dirty-nosed, prepubescent punk. You don't really hear Deadpool in seriousness like that anymore. It's he's just kind of like, oh, LOL, my head escaped, ha 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 ha. And that's why the Deadpool book does not really sell that well anymore. Anyway, some more happens, and there's this character that you find out from issue 1, which we will go over eventually, named Bridge, who's trying to hunt Cable, which segues into our team. They've left the mansion, and they're out in the Adirondack Mountains or something like that, and they're getting ready to do a training exercise, with Farrell kind of being the one that's being hunted. And this is great, because everyone like Sam, Boom Boom, the younger ones that were originally New Mutants, kind of take this as a game, as were the more seasoned ones like Jimmy, Cable, Domino, and Shatterstar, talking about how this isn't a game. And they're taking it pretty serious there. But anyway, So Farrell's hiding, and what I like is how the writer uses her inner thoughts to introduce the characters. So, like, for example, she goes, where is it? Sammy Boy's coming quiet. Learn to dull down the roar of his blast field. Won't do him much good. He's meat. Raw and dead. Sorry, Sammy Boy, but it's time to exactly show who's the hunter and who's the prey. And just the dynamicness of her jumping off the tree, landing on him, and then kind of using Sam as a way to take out Warpath. And the same thing here where Boom Boom's a little overconfident with her blast balls, and it doesn't do her much good. And you can just see how Farrell, she's newer to the team because she grew up with the Morlocks, as we saw in issue, what was it, New Mutants 99. And everyone's kind of starting to see that she's going a little crazy, you know, Farrell being her namesake. And something happens here in a minute. But Farrell's like, because I play the game for life and death. And then Shatterstar, he's like, what say you play with me? He goes, the difference between you and I is fighting is what I do. Killing is what I am. So yeah, you can see that this is a very green team, and Cable's really doing his best to keep it together. Something happens to Sam, and Cable goes, he's losing a lot of blood. I'm an idiot. I didn't prep the short-range teleporters. We have to carry him back. So this is what I meant by action. So it's not like, you know, a big slug fight with a villain or whatever. It's a training exercise gone south. And you can see how Cable's trying to teach this team, but he lets his raw emotions of his militaristic background get in the way, and it really starts to interfere with him trying to train these greenhorn mutants. Because, you know, he's got Sam and Boom Boom, who are kind of used to Xavier's style. They have Jimmy, who's a wild card. They have Domino, who's probably the only one that knows Cable the best. And then they just took on Farrell and Shatterstar, who were both born and bred warriors, and they don't know how to reel it in terms of working with their teammates. So that's great because it just shows that this team doesn't know each other yet. They don't deserve the title X-Force yet. This is what I like about these early issues, is they have to work towards it to become the characters that we know down the road. And then, of course, there's an interlude, so we're going very kind of Claremont-esque here. We have Black Tom Cassidy, and this is the build-up for the next part of the series that comes out. And it has something to do with Kane Marco. How does he jump into the picture? What's going on? Well, I highly suggest that if you guys can get your hands on this, X-Force #2 is definitely a book you want. If you love great storytelling and great artwork, then this book's for you. If you're a collector and you don't really read and you just kind of buy books because they're rarity, I'd say the second appearance of Deadpool is really starting to go as fast as his first appearance. So yeah, great book all around. I highly, highly recommend this one. So if you have enjoyed it, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you can possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little mark bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love to hear your feedback and talk with y'all down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.